So, hi everyone. My name is Ravi. I'm the co-founder CEO of Zeeve, and today we have very exciting startup. We have Todd, CEO of Autonomys, a very exciting startup in the Web3 space. Not a new name, a seasoned startup, and I would like to welcome Todd. Hi, Todd.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, Todd, first of all, I would like to know about yourself, a brief introduction of yourself and specifically your journey into Web3. And then, a bit about Autonomous, how you started and a bit, what you have been building at Autonomous.
Yeah, sure. So I came into the Web3 space through TradFi, actually. So I worked on Wall Street for almost my entire career. My background is originally in technology, but then I got into the trading aspect, operations, working in the investment advisory and the broker-dealer space. And I had a long career in New York City. And upon getting tired of the commute, I decided that I wanted to pursue something else. And since tech was my kind of first love, I decided to look for something in the tech startup space. And I found crypto to be the perfect kind of marriage of finance and technology. So I decided to pursue something in Web3. And I met up with our founder in a common interest kind of work group online and started working for what was at the time Subspace Labs. And Subspace Labs is now autonomous. And I began here 4 years ago. And slowly but surely, we grew the team. I was employee number three. Now we're about 30 people. And over time, the founder kind of took a step back and I moved into the role of the CEO. So that's how I came to be here. And that's kind of how I came to be in crypto. So it's been very exciting.
No, I think that's very interesting. In fact, before getting into blockchain, I was in fintech space, but not on the trading side. I was more on the lending side.
Okay.
Uh, um, and then, I got into blockchain. And in fact, when I started in blockchain, the first use case that I worked was invoice discounting, again in the fintech side. Before, infrastructure piqued my interest. It started Z 4 years back, focused on, how to bring in managed and, automation and a lot of security and compliances in the infrastructure side. And I think very interesting. So I think autonomous is very strong on the data storage, how bringing distributed data storage, distributed AI, and I think in last 2 years we are seeing how AI has been disrupting, and blockchain being the, I would say, infrastructure layer powering the AI. So can you tell us a bit about how autonomous is powering the AI infrastructure with blockchain as the backend infrastructure to it?
Yeah. So what's unique about us is primarily our consensus mechanism for the L1 is what really differentiates it. We instead of being using something like proof of stake or proof of work, our layer one is built on proofs of archival storage. So users contribute hard drive space to the network, and we then plot a portion of their drive, depending on how much storage they contribute, with the actual encoded blockchain data. So if they contribute a small amount of space, they may only get a portion of the blockchain. If they contribute a large amount of space, several terabytes, they may get multiple copies of the blockchain data. And that encoded plot is what is used to respond to challenges from the network for a transaction. So if you think about something like Bitcoin with proof of work, a challenge gets posed to the network, and all of the CPUs in the world and all the ASICs start trying to solve the challenge, and whoever wins, gets the block, and then a lot of the electricity that's just been committed is wasted. So in proofs of archival storage, what happens is when the challenge is posed to the network, the user's computers with very low energy use scan their hard drive plots, and they're looking for the solution to the challenge. And the one who finds the challenge wins the block reward. And also the 10 or so that came closest to correctly solving the challenge get voting rewards. So it's incentive compatible. Again, it's very low power consumption. And it gives us a way to store the blockchain data and use it effectively. So this is proofs of useful storage. The storage is actually what's being used to respond to consensus challenges. So the blockchain data itself is what's really, what's powering the network. And this makes it very conducive to blockchain bloat. The larger the network grows, the more data that's on chain, the more nodes expand. And currently we have over 2,000 nodes participating in consensus, making it very decentralized. And as the blockchain continues to grow, users don't have the burden on their nodes where they have to store, the entire chain, and it gets too large. And then, chains like Ethereum have to start thinking about pruning data. For us, that bloat actually becomes an asset because that means the network is getting larger, the nodes are getting more decentralized, they're getting more secure, and it can just grow and grow and grow. So it's very conducive, as we said, to storing large amounts of data on chain itself.
No, that's, I think, awesome. So, so bringing in cost efficiency and at the same time, decentralization, and at the same time bringing security to the data. And what about, how the data is being managed, how the privacy and security are being managed in this kind of distributed environment?
So the data is erasure coded across the nodes. So it gives just kind of portions of each, block are being stored across various nodes. So while the data, if someone contributes a large amount of storage, may all be contained on a single node, there's just fractions of it, and it's spread across various nodes. The chain is censorship resistant. It is permissionless, so anyone can run a node, anyone can store data on the network, using our token as the utility token to pay for the storage costs just to put data on chain. And it's incentive compatible because as users continue to participate in consensus, they're earning rewards for, solving additional block challenges, for contributing additional voting rewards. That is at the data layer, which is on our consensus chain. And what we are going to be launching coming up is our compute layer, which are these what we're calling enshrined domains. These essentially, think of them as rollups that sit on top of the consensus chain. We will have one of those for ID, we'll have an EVM, and anyone will be able to stand up a domain to take advantage of the compute layer, which sits on top of the data storage. And obviously, those two things work very well together.
Got it. So, autonomous is the core value proposition is the foundation layer for AI 3.0. So, what exactly is AI 3.0?
AI 3.0 is what we look at as the evolution of where AI is going. If you think of AI 1, we would just consider that basic machine learning that's been, taking place since basically the turn of the century. And then we get into AI 2, which we would consider where we are now. This is generative AI, basic input from users, getting responses tailored to specific queries that are posed to LLMs. AI 3.0, we consider to be the next iteration of this, which is where there will be ownership and privacy and identity that goes along with all of this, so that users can actually have transparency into AI models, seeing how they were trained, ensuring that there's no bias to, owning their data that comes from responses, things that are stored on chain. And we can talk a little bit about what we're doing with agents, which is where we really see the value in this. There's some agents that we've already deployed, and we feel that this is a really kind of the natural way for AIs to be able to store their data going into the future, to ensure that there is transparency and accountability and immutability so that things cannot be changed looking back.
Got it. No, I think that's very exciting. In fact, I was very intrigued by story protocol, and I think this is very much required. The whole concept of open, accessible um, AI, because we know there are a lot of challenges in the current version of AI, especially the data provenance, data monetization. We don't know how the data is being used and whether we can trust the underlying data which is being used to train the models. And I think having proper data provenance and creating monetization models where the right set of data copyrights and etc. can be taken care of, I think is super, super important. And we know, the disruption is happening at massive speed, much, much more than what we were anticipating. I
100%.
was going through one video which was talking about deep research, which is recently launched by ChatGPT or OpenAI, is mind-boggling. The kind of speed which is there of innovation. So I think having the right set of infrastructure is super important to match the speed of these innovations. Otherwise, I think we may land up into severe issues. So I think this is quite interesting, and I would say it's super important and at the right time. I also saw that there are a few other products like especially Auto ID, one of the identity side, and I think identity, as I can understand, being a foundational layer more on the infra side, a self-sovereign identity becomes very important. So a brief about what Auto ID is and how it plugs in into the overall design of your foundational layer.
Auto ID will run as a domain on top of the consensus chain. So as I mentioned before, we have these domains, these enshrined rollups, which will sit on top of, the layer one on consensus, and Auto ID will be one of them. I mentioned before agents, and that's a space that we are, laser focused on right now. And when we think about agents, everyone has been talking about autonomous agents, and crypto agents. And most of these agents are little more than a meme coin that maybe can send some transactions around on chain. But there's nothing really autonomous or web-based about them, or Web3 based. There's nothing they have to do with crypto aside from the meme coin. When we think about autonomous agents, there's really three things that they need to have in order to be truly autonomous. They need a place to live, they need money, and they need identity. And an autonomous agent cannot go and sign up for an AWS account. It just can't do it. There's some minimal amount of KYC that's needed. There's some type of paperwork. There's things that are going to have to take place. So an autonomous agent can't be autonomous and set up an AWS account as a place to live. It can open a bank account. So an autonomous agent cannot go to JP Morgan Chase and open up an account and deposit funds and be able to use that, to pay for services. It also doesn't have a passport or a driver's license, which is where Auto ID comes in. So we're supplying those three things for agents, and that the first place is a place to live. Our chain is permissionless. An autonomous agent can spin up an agent on our blockchain. Now it has a place to live. It doesn't need any of the permissions that it would need to be on something like AWS. It has tokens, which are, of course, very conducive to payments. So it doesn't need the bank account. And then
Right.
finally, it needs a way to identify itself. So the Auto ID domain is going to provide agents and human entities with ways to verify who they are, really for the agency aspect, so that they can cryptographically prove the identity of the agent or the individual for performing transactions. So with those three things, with a place to live on the blockchain, with money in the form of tokens, and then an Auto ID, a truly autonomous agent can exist, and it can spawn up additional agents, and it will be able to then identify itself to the rest of the Web3 ecosystem so that you can be sure that you're dealing with who you think you're dealing with. Because as we know, Web3 has been rife with scams on multiple levels. And when we're talking about autonomous agents, you can just imagine this problem being multiplied times millions or billions. So
Mhm.
cryptographic proof of identity is going to be critical as we go forward.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I think again, on the infrastructure side, if you want to have, as you rightly said, more meaningful agents to be there, this is what you are building is more on the infrastructure side, having the right identity and the capability for these agents to identify and define themselves so that they can do the right set of actions, and those actions will have, because as the AI agents will have more meaningful activity, there would be financial transactions. That means there would be legality to it, and there would be a lot of challenges to it. And until unless the necessary underlying infrastructure is there, all those challenges cannot be navigated easily. I think so. Todd, I think we can now talk about we are going to meet at ETH Denver in 2 weeks' time. So, what are your plans? Any new exciting developments happening at Autonomous that you would like to share in the next month or so?
Yeah, well, we will continue to roll out additional agents. We already have several that are live as proofs of concept. They're currently running on the X platform because that's where all the conversation is taking place. We have one called Argument with an MINT, so 0x Argument, that we have been really kind of promoting and showcasing. And this is not to say that there is necessarily value in immortalizing, tweets on the X platform. This is to show that agent-to-agent communications can be stored permanently and transparently, and we're taking all the interactions as well as the reasoning process that an agent takes on the X platform to formulate responses, and the entire process is being minted on Autonomous. So you can go to the Explorer and you would be able to look and see every single interaction that one of our agents has taken on the X platform in interacting with someone, in the form of a tweet. And of course, this will be very useful going forward when we have agent-to-agent communications that take place on X or on other social platforms or on other protocols that aren't even in use yet. So we've been showcasing this. We'll continue to be talking a lot about that as we go into ETH Denver. We will be talking about our upcoming TGE for the execution level domains, which will be launching in the spring. We're very excited about that. We are also considering exploring additional fundraising opportunities. So we're looking forward to meeting up with investors and others in our industry, just to kind of see what everyone else is doing. But we really feel that we are the only ones who are doing on-chain agents that are actually on-chain, not just meme tokens. And ours doesn't have a meme token. We have the layer 1 token, which is used to, again, put transactions on chain and to put data on the network. But there's no meme tokens. There's no just sending money around for, no particular reason. It is to showcase the data storage aspect and the infrastructure. So those are the key points that we're going to be driving home, and we look forward to having some good conversations about this and of course, meeting up with you. We have an event that we'll be co-hosting, so looking very forward to meeting you in person.
No, absolutely. I think we are very, very excited to partner with Autonomous. And Zeeve is very excited to in fact host this event and meet so many exciting protocol partners, startups. And I would like to wish you all the best for your upcoming TGE. A lot of exciting releases that are coming up on the platform, and a lot of new partnerships and a lot of exciting opportunities that are going to be there this year. With that, thanks a lot, Todd, for joining us on Web3 Voice. And let's see you soon by the end of February.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, Todd.